Good morning and good evening. I say that because I know we're having two open houses today, one in the morning, one in the evening. I'm Rabbi Li-Paz, and I want to welcome you. I'm sorry I can't be with you. As you can see, I'm not local right now. I'm somewhere in Idaho with my wife and an RV, and we're working from the road and seeing this beautiful country. So I want to say, just before you hear from our wonderful director, Carla Devi, I want to tell you a little about our program, about the synagogue, and I hope some helpful information. And in addition, I want to invite any one of you to reach out to me if I can fill in any details for you, answer any questions. So please do. Our program was founded a dozen years ago, 11 or 12 years ago, with a view to creating something different in Jewish education. So we grew up, I certainly grew up, in the Hebrew school of my parents and grandparents, which meant that I didn't really like the experience. It was something I wanted to do for as brief a time as possible and then escape. And I think that's what I did, and somehow I ended up becoming a rabbi anyway, despite it. But what we decided to do with Jules, and I want to tell you what Jules stands for, it's not just an idea, a word, it's Jewish education, which means to us wisdom, ethics, and literacy. And at the end, there's service, an important component of our program. So if you think about that, that tells you what our overarching aims are for your kids. Education that consists of wisdom, not just knowledge, because I think they can get knowledge in a handheld device these days. But wisdom is harder to acquire, and requires relationship and modeling and beautiful teaching, which we're fortunately doing. In addition, the ethics, which I think our world and our kids need now more than ever. I'll leave it to you to define that for the moment. And literacy is, of course, getting them ready for bar and bat mitzvah, but more than that, getting them ready to be participants in Jewish adult life, Jewish life in general. And what we know happens is that people who don't feel like they have the skills tend to step back and then step out. If people are singing or doing or lighting or whatever they're doing, and we feel like this is foreign to us, we tend to say, okay, I don't want to look silly, so I'm just going to quit at this point or just leave the scene or the synagogue. So I think that's one of the tools that we're giving the kids. And the last piece is a key part of our outreach as Valley Outreach Synagogue, which is service to others who are like us in our community, older than us in our community, different from us outside our community, but teaching our kids that they have a vital role to play in a world that needs them. Well, that leads me to what we're doing in the year 2020 and 2021 with education. In light of everything that's going on in our lives, and all the perceptions of our kids, what we realize is that education can't be the same. This is another reset point where we have to take the best of what we've been doing, which we are doing, and then build on that and acquire new abilities and new capabilities technologically and teach in a way that we've never taught before. And what I mean by that is we realize that in order to teach kids under these extraordinary circumstances, it means to teach them values-oriented learning, to teach them lessons every single time we meet that relate to who they are in relation to the world around them. What we know is that through this, we can teach them to find strength within themselves, not only to look outside for it, to find their own resilience, to find what Judaism teaches them and us about coping with strange times and difficulty and challenges, moral challenges of the moment, and there's certainly moral challenges of this moment. So yes, certainly we're going to be teaching them Shema Yisrael and all those things that kids need to know to call themselves Jewish, in other words, their literacy. But our real focus this year, more than that, is to say, yes, that will be important and it won't go by the wayside in any way, but we really want to shift some of the learning to values-oriented lessons, to not only teaching a holiday, but first starting with the values that relate to that kid in his life or her life at the moment, and then showing them how they can find that in the story of Purim and Passover and Hanukkah and all the different holidays of the year. We have a great program. You're going to hear from Carla in a moment about our partnerships across the country, how we're really taking what are best practices, learning from the best, and saying, okay, in collaboration, we can now offer this to our kids. And something that we're doing that is a key part of outreach for us always is focusing on affordability, because we don't want this to be a luxury item in anybody's life that they end up saying, we can't do this, we don't want to do this, or it means that we can't have other things in our lives that also matter. So I hope you realize the importance of that as well. You're going to see, if you're a current member of the synagogue, that our fees have changed, and we're lowering them to accommodate families who are enduring difficult times financially. But we're relying on high enrollment. We hope we'll have that because of the nature of what we're doing and the quality of our teachers and our teaching. And the way that we're dealing with technology, using technology, instead of getting upset by it, instead saying, okay, let's find good ways to use this so that we can do more than just connect with our kids, but actually give them a lasting education that will help them know what it is to be Jewish human beings, good human beings in this world. I hope this has been helpful, just as a brief overview. And again, I want to give you my email address. It's Rabbi-Li-Paz. My last name is Li-Paz, so Rabbi-Li-Paz at vosla.org. And I wish you well, and I hope to hear from you. I hope we can engage in some conversations. Take care.